Everyone has their own dream house, their dream car, the perfect location, the perfect setting. What's interesting is that this is unique for each individual. We all have different desires, and that's a wonderful thing. So let's take a ride. Today I'm going to show you what I desire, what I strive for. That may be different from you, and that's okay. One of the things that I desire is the ability to harness my own energy. I think this is so fantastic, the idea that you can produce your own power on your own property. You can be in control of it. A lot of people don't think about that because when they flip the light switch on, it turns on. And they just keep on going. But there are times when the power goes out. And it goes out for days, sometimes even weeks. And you're not expecting it, you're not prepared for it, and all of a sudden you realize how important power really is. Solar panels are good because you can have this on your own property and you can actually get tax back. You can do that with different programs that are available all around the world. I would want to store that in batteries. These batteries would give me the ability to use the power at nighttime or when there's not as much sun, and this is a great way to become more self-sufficient. Now, it doesn't mean that necessarily I can be off the grid and I can produce all the power I needed at all times, but at least I can reduce the amount that I spend on electricity. This, of course, has a lot of upfront costs, that's for sure, but I believe it's such a good insurance policy. There have been times in major cities around the world when the power goes out for days or weeks. And a lot of people are screwed during that time frame. They have to visit friends that live out of town. Their whole life is inconvenienced by this. It's really not a good thing. So I believe that this can provide us with the power that we need, and at the very least, it's an insurance policy. I also like the fact that I'm not reliant on any one source for my energy needs. I can produce it on my own property and I can decide if I use it or not, versus some sort of other entity. Now, this is my number one thing, and that is growing my own food, something that I really desire. I want a greenhouse so that I can grow year round. If you do a double wall greenhouse, unheated, you can grow in the coldest of climates. You can check this out at 1 Yard Revolution, the YouTube channel. He grows in the Chicago area, which of course gets very cold. And using just a simple do-it-yourself hoop house or greenhouse like this, you can grow in the cold climates. Of course, that's going to be able to give you much more food security. You don't have to worry about a crisis that may unfold. You got your own food, at least an emergency supply. You can provide that for yourself. So I want to have a few of these greenhouses, sort of do-it-yourself type greenhouses. They're very inexpensive. And of course, in a short period of time, you're going to make your money back. Using some seeds and some soil, you'll be able to provide yourself and your family with excellent food. Of course, the insurance policy as well. That's so important. And then you could take this food and maybe you can use it as gifts to your neighbors and your families and friends. It's an excellent thing. Also, the fact that if there's any, let's call it pollution in the environment, falling from the skies, your greenhouse is going to protect you from that. So I think it's really important to have a greenhouse regardless. Little hoop house, even where you're growing your crops outdoors, would be a very smart thing. I like this idea. I would definitely love to have some of these greenhouses on my property. One of the things I would love to have is a nice big plot of land. At least 1 acre. That would be my desire. Around the perimeter, I would want to have some sort of protection, some sort of fence or wall. And then I would like to be able to basically have that be my security. Some level of security, of course. And let's say I owned the property that was 10 acres, for example. Maybe I don't want to fence in all 10 acres, maybe I could just fence in 1 acre where I had all of my things and maybe the rest is just pasture land. Well, I would like to have a portion of it secured. That's what I desire anyway. Around the perimeter of that, I think it would be wise to create a microclimate. This is pretty amazing. I've seen this being done before. The YouTuber you can check out is Jake Mace, who has done this, and he has increased the temperature of the area he created a microclimate in by 15 degrees. Now, he's from the US, so I'm assuming he's talking in Fahrenheit. 15 degrees Fahrenheit by doing this. Okay, so he basically, the perimeter of his property is set up with all trees. In fact, it's a lot of trees around his property entirely. So that's what I would want to do. I would want to have trees bordering the entire property here, or maybe that fenced in area. Nice big tall trees, and then fill it in with wood chips. Now wood chips are free. I don't know if you're aware of that. Wood chips are free if you can take them by the truckload. So there are many companies out there you can contact through Kijiji, Craigslist, what have you, where they basically chop down trees for a living, and then they have these trees, they don't know what to do with them. So they put them in wood chips, they'll bring them right to your property, and they will dump them in. But as I said, you need to take a large amount. They're not just going to come for a couple bags. So that would be great. I could fill this entire area in with all these wood chips. I could tell them, just keep dropping it off. Every time you have trees, just put the wood chips here on my property. And what Jake Mace has done is put about 2.5 feet to 3 feet of wood chips in his backyard. And that created a forest effect. And his property, with all the trees, with all the wood chips and everything else, actually becomes 15 degrees warmer. I mean, this is spectacular as far as I'm concerned. And that would be a great way to further extend the season. So you can have this little area in your backyard and be able to create this microclimate and become more comfortable and become a more steady environment. It's better, I think, for the health. I think it's better for the health of the crops that you're growing and everything else. So the wood chips basically break down into this really rich soil over time, over the years. And to me, this seems like a no-brainer. You have a company who needs to get rid of wood. You tell them, put the chips on my property. It's a win-win scenario, and it's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. I'd want my own sort of, let's call it waste management system. Okay, I don't want to necessarily need to use the sewers and everything else. Potentially because I would want to be in an area where maybe there aren't any sewers. So a lot of people are using septic tanks. They're using whatever they may use. Some use cesspools in certain areas. But the ability to care for my own needs, I think, is important. So that's just one thing I desire. Now this here is something perhaps material, but it's something that I would really desire in life. And that is to have my own sunroom in my backyard. Maybe not the decorations used in this particular picture, but just to have a place where I could come to have family and just a gathering place that the sun can come in so I can extend the season and extend this cold environment, have a fireplace in there, and just be able to be outdoors even when it's rather cold outside. So basically to extend the season, I love to be outdoors, and to have this would sort of allow me to extend the season. You know, Toronto is a rather cold place in the winter, so just having the ability to be sort of half outside, half inside, having a family to be able to gather there would be something, as far as I'm concerned, amazing. So that's something else here, you know, just a very small thing. I would like to have rainwater catchment, rainwater harvesting. There are different levels of this. I think at the very least, what people should do if they have even a small patch of land is to collect rainwater to water their fruits and vegetables and plants and maybe the grass. I think that's so easy. The rain is coming down and we just let it go to waste. Why not collect it into a barrel? You can just have a big barrel, have your East trough, come down, it goes in the barrel, and any excess basically gets dumped out into the grass. You can use this water to water your plants. You can use it, they show you here the in-ground rain tanks. Of course, that's a little upfront cost. And then they use it for the sprinkler system. I think it's a good thing because you become more self-sufficient. Now I don't need to use the water from the city. I can use my own water. I can filter the water. I can do whatever I want with it. Look at different cities around the world where they had very big problems with their water supply. They couldn't drink the water, and this becomes a very big disaster very quickly. So why not be prepared? Small scale or large scale, you can collect, tens of thousands of gallons in these big, huge water catchment, rainwater catch systems that they use in certain areas where they're completely off the grid, and it works well for them. It has to be filtered, of course, and there's maintenance that needs to be done. I understand. But I just like the fact that, hey, I can provide my own water. This is fantastic. And then a drip irrigation system. So, of course, if you're using water catchment, you want to be able to conserve as much as possible. This is called drip irrigation. This can also be tied in to an automated system, a powered system, yes, but that can be controlled through an app on your cell phone or iPad or computer. And you can actually turn this on whenever you want. You can schedule the time whenever you want. You can be halfway across the world and your vegetables are growing and being watered all automatically. And you can see the statistics of it. You can see how much water you have and everything else. Of course, again, upfront costs, but I think this gives you that insurance, gives you peace of mind. This is what I desire anyway. I think this would be amazing to be able to be halfway around the world, be able to keep an eye on my crops, because that's one of the things that I really want. This is what I desire. A lot of people are thinking, I want a Lamborghini. I want to be able to be, the house on the water in Fiji or something. And I don't have any problems with that. I think that's fantastic. If that's what you like, amazing. Go for it, work as hard as you can, and try to attain those goals. For me, I don't know, maybe I'm a simple guy. I think a greenhouse is so fantastic. It's so amazing. I mean, just the thought of it makes me happy. To one day be able to go out into my backyard in the middle of the winter, pick some lettuce, pick some vegetables, bring them inside, make your dinner out of what's in your backyard. I mean, to me, it's just great. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. This is sort of a personal thing, but I want to know what you think. What do you desire? And don't be shy. If you desire something like a Lamborghini, say it. You should want that. You should strive for that goal. If you want more information like this, then I have some others you might want to check out. If you go to my main YouTube channel and then you scroll down to the bottom, you get this, the Money GPS how-to and solutions. And I talk about a lot of this. How to get land, how to make money, all kinds of things. And this is part of what I talk about in my second book, which is the Global Economic Collapse. And what I call it is the Money GPS strategy. And in there, it's basically how to reduce your expenses, how to become more self-sufficient. So I get into some of that in this here, the Money GPS how-to and solutions. Everyone's always asking me, what are solutions? What are solutions? You're always so negative. Well, check it out. The Money GPS how-to and solutions. And of course, in my secondary book, the Money GPS Global Economic Collapse. That's all. Take care.